strange stories. I remember the night as if it were a memory woven into the very fabric of my being, a soft, hushed tapestry of sound and feeling. It was a night when the world outside seemed to dissolve behind a shimmering veil of rain, each droplet a tiny percussionist on the window pane building a symphony of solace. The air itself felt thick, pregnant with the earthy scent of wet soil and the clean, sweet fragrance of petrichor, as if the very breath of the world was holding still, waiting with me. I sat by the window, my back resting against the cool ancient wood of the frame, letting the relentless lullaby of the downpour wash over me, carrying away any lingering whispers of the day's trivial concerns. In the profound darkness beyond, where only the faintest hint of moonlight occasionally broke through the thick cloud cover, reflecting off the puddles on the street below, there was an odd sense of profound safety, a quiet sanctuary from the clamor of a distant world. Out there, beyond these comforting walls, life might churn and surge. But in here, within the soft embrace of my small room, there was only the gentle rhythm of peace. A subtle longing, yet so deeply ingrained, had taken root within me. It wasn't a yearning for something I had lost, but rather for something I had never quite possessed. A promise yet unfulfilled, a dream that had yet to bloom. It was as if my soul had known a melody I had never fully heard, a color I had never clearly seen, a touch I had never truly felt. And the rain, with its unending, steadfast cadence, seemed to be the very medium for this longing, soaking into it, intensifying it, allowing it to unfurl and thrive like a parched plant finally given water. I closed my eyes for a moment, letting every sound of the rain sink in, settling within my mind. I could feel the coolness of the glass against my cheek, the humid breath of the air, and the faint, steady pulse in my wrist, a quiet affirmation of my existence, my life, my waiting. In the hushed symphony of the rain, I felt closer to myself, to my purest essence, to all the vulnerabilities and unspoken hopes I held within. Perhaps I mused. This was what eternity felt like, not an endless expanse of time, but a singular, timeless moment stretched out and suspended, brimming with an ineffable quality that transcended mere seconds or minutes. It was a feeling of being utterly present, utterly receptive, tuned into a frequency beyond the mundane. The rain wasn't just falling, it was speaking. 1,000 tiny voices whispering ancient secrets, stories of longing and connection that spanned eons. Each drop was a tiny world, reflecting the soft glow of distant street lights. A momentary universe born and lost in an instant, yet contributing to the larger, flowing river of the storm. Cared about the journeys of those drops from vast, distant clouds, to the leaves of ancient trees, to the puddles that mirrored the low-hanging sky. They carried with them a sense of purpose, a silent commitment to their course, just as I felt a silent, unwavering commitment to this vigil. This wasn't merely waiting. It was an act of quiet faith, a gentle surrender to the unseen forces that guide us, to the unspoken desires that shape our paths. The room itself was a haven imbued with the soft, faded warmth of aged wood and the faint scent of old books. A single flickering candle on my bedside table cast dancing shadows across the walls, making the familiar space feel both intimate and vast, like a silent, moonlit chamber within a forgotten castle. The shadows stretched and contracted with the subtle shifts in the flame, creating a mesmerizing play of light and dark that mirrored the quiet ebb and flow of my thoughts. I often sought refuge in this room, especially when the outside world grew too loud, too demanding, too bright. Here, the boundaries between reality and dream blurred, allowing my mind to wander freely, unburdened by expectations or obligations. It was a space for introspection, for listening to the quiet murmurings of my own soul, for allowing the gentle currents of emotion to carry me wherever they might lead. The rain outside only enhanced this sanctuary, weaving an additional layer of privacy and intimacy, a natural boundary between my inner world and the external clamor. I thought of the people who might be out in this rain, seeking shelter, rushing through the night. Did they feel this same profound quietude, this sense of timeless suspension? Or were they merely hurrying from one destination to another, oblivious to the unspoken poetry of the storm? I hope that somewhere someone else was listening, truly listening to the rain, feeling its presence as a comforting embrace rather than a mere inconvenience. There was a unique kinship in sharing such a moment, even unknowingly, a shared breath of quiet contemplation in the heart of a stormy night. The gentle patter continued, a steady, hypnotic rhythm that began to lull me further into a state of serene contemplation. My eyelids grew heavier, but my mind remained alert, receptive, absorbing every nuance of the night. It felt as though I was drifting not into sleep, but into a deeper state of awareness. The ordinary sounds of the world transformed into extraordinary whispers, and the boundaries of time and space softened into an ethereal mist. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. Then through the blurred, rain-streaked glass, something shifted. A faint, almost imperceptible shadow detached itself from the deeper shadows of the street below. Formed against the muted backdrop of the night, it was a silhouette, indistinct. At first, barely more than a suggestion of presence. Yet my attention was drawn to it with an intensity that transcended mere curiosity. My breath caught a silent intake of the humid air. The figure stood there, unmoving, seemingly impervious to the relentless downpour, as if carved from the very essence of the rain itself. There was no umbrella, no hurried movement to seek shelter, just a quiet, steadfast stillness that mirrored my own. It was a stranger, yet in that instant, they felt profoundly familiar, like a half-remembered melody from a dream. My heart, which had been beating with the calm, steady rhythm of the rain, picked up a fraction of a beat, a soft, almost imperceptible flutter. Like a moth's wings against a silent window, a wave of something akin to recognition washed over me, a feeling that bypassed logic and settled deep in my bones. It was the whisper I had been waiting for, the color I had hoped to see. This wasn't an ordinary passerby caught in the storm. This was the stranger, the one my unspoken longing had implicitly invoked. In the dim, ambient light that struggled to penetrate the heavy clouds, their form remained shrouded in a gentle mystery. I couldn't discern features, only the overall impression of a figure standing with an almost ethereal patience. Were they waiting for someone? Or were they, like me, simply existing in the moment, drawn by the silent call of the rain? The thought made my chest ache with a bittersweet understanding, a shared melancholy that felt both heavy and exquisitely tender. It was a strange, silent communion across the wet expanse, a recognition of kindred spirits found in the quietude of a storm. The minutes stretched, elongated by the hypnotic rhythm of the rain. I remained motionless, my gaze fixed on the figure, afraid that any sudden movement might shatter this fragile, dreamlike encounter. The sounds of the night seemed to fade into the background, leaving only the ceaseless patter of water and the subtle thrumming of my own heartbeat. It was a moment suspended outside of time, a private theater where the only actors were the rain, the stranger, and my own quiet awe. Their story, what led them to stand so calmly in the deluge, what thoughts occupied their mind in the vast, enveloping darkness. Did they, too, feel this profound sense of connection to the night, to the elements, to the unspoken currents that flowed beneath the surface of the world? There was a peculiar beauty in this anonymity, this silent understanding. No words were needed, no introductions, no explanations, only presence, a subtle shift in the light. Perhaps a momentary parting of the clouds illuminated the figure just slightly more. I still couldn't make out specific details, but there was a grace to their posture, a quiet strength in their stillness. They seemed to possess an aura of gentle resilience, a willingness to embrace the raw beauty of the storm. My mind began to paint 1,000 possibilities, creating a silent narrative for this mysterious stranger. They had dreamed, a fleeting apparition born from the depths of a rainy night's longing. Or were they truly there, a tangible presence just beyond the glass, a soul unknowingly mirroring my own solitary vigil? The lines between reality and imagination blurred, creating a space where everything felt possible and nothing felt impossible. The air around me seemed to hum with an unspoken energy, a subtle vibration that emanated from the quiet interaction between my gaze and their silent presence. Not my lips parted slightly, as if to whisper a question, a greeting, or perhaps just a sigh, but no sound escaped, only the soft intake of breath. This moment felt too delicate for words, too sacred for intrusion. It was a quiet secret shared between the rain, the stranger, and me, a gentle understanding that flowed through the air, carried by the droplets, settling like dew on the leaves. My heart, there was an unspoken invitation in their stillness, a silent acknowledgement of my own. A silent dialogue unfolding without a single spoken word. I felt an overwhelming urge to reach out, not physically, but with the purest essence of my being, to bridge the distance that separated us to offer a silent welcome, a profound sense of recognition that transcended the physical barriers of glass and rain. It was a moment of absolute vulnerability and profound connection, a shared breath in the vast, silent canvas of the stormy night. As minutes flowed into what felt like hours, the stranger remained, a silent anchor in the swirling embrace of the storm. My eyes, though heavy with the comfort of the night, refused to stray from their silhouette. There was a peculiar sense of peace in simply observing and being witness to their quiet perseverance against the elements. It felt as though a delicate, unseen thread had been woven between us, stretched taut across the wet expanse, vibrating with an unspoken understanding. This connection wasn't born of shared words or experiences, but of a shared moment, a mutual appreciation for the quiet majesty of the rain. It was a bond forged in stillness. In the profound intimacy of unspoken presence, I felt a gentle ache in my chest, a tender bittersweetness that was both comforting and poignant. It was the quiet joy of finding something or someone that resonates so deeply, even from a distance, even shrouded in mystery. The world outside my window seemed to shrink, becoming merely a backdrop for this profound encounter. The sounds of distant cars, the faint hum of the city, all faded into the background, leaving only the intimate symphony of the rain and the silent presence of the stranger. My thoughts drifted, not wildly, but with a gentle, dreamlike purpose, imagining 100 different scenarios, 1,000 different reasons for their vigil. Were they remembering something, someone, or were they, like me, simply lost in the meditative rhythm of the night, finding solace in its quiet embrace? The shared solitude felt less like loneliness, and more like a profound connection and acknowledgement of kindred spirits in a vast, indifferent world. It was a rare and precious moment, one that felt destined, whispered into existence by the rain itself. A sudden, gentle gust of wind rustled the leaves of the ancient oak tree outside my window, sending a fresh cascade of droplets against the glass. The stranger remained unmoved, a testament to their unwavering composure. This stillness, this quiet strength drew me in even further. It was as if they carried an inner calm, a resilience that defied the external chaos of the storm. I admired that deeply. In a world that often demands constant motion, constant noise, their tranquil presence was a balm to my soul, a reminder of the quiet power that resides in simply being. My gaze softened, a quiet offering of understanding across the divide. There was no expectation, no desire to invade their space or break their reverie, only a quiet, respectful presence, a shared vigil under the sheltering blanket of the rain. I found myself wondering about their eyes, hidden from view by the distance and the darkness. What stories did they hold? What emotions flickered within their depths as they stood so patiently in the rain? I imagined them to be kind, perhaps a little weary, but with a spark of quiet hope. My imagination painted a gentle smile on their lips, a softness in their posture that belied the harshness. The weather, it was a face born of longing, crafted from the subtle hopes I harbored deep within. As I imagined these things, the image solidified, becoming more real, more vivid, until it felt as though I could almost reach out and touch the quiet wisdom I perceived in their unspoken gaze. This internal world, built on quiet observation and gentle speculation, felt as real, if not more real, than the tangible world beyond the glass. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, the rain began to soften. The insistent patter softened into a gentle drizzle, a quiet curtain of falling water. The world began to re-emerge from its misty embrace, the distant streetlights gaining a little more clarity, the outlines of buildings sharpening against the softening darkness, and with the softening of the rain, the stranger, with a final, lingering stillness that felt like a quiet farewell, slowly began to move, not abruptly, but with a gentle, unhurried grace. They turned and dissolved back into the shadows from which they had emerged, leaving behind only the fading whisper of the rain and the profound echo of their presence. They were gone, yet the imprint of their silent vigil remained, etched deeply into the quiet corners of my heart. The night, though still dark, felt subtly changed, infused with a new, quiet warmth, a lingering sense of connection that transcended the physical departure. The rain continued its gentle retreat, each fading drop a quiet farewell, until only the lingering scent of damp earth remained. The air, though still cool, felt lighter, as if a great weight had been lifted, leaving behind a delicate clarity, absence of the stranger's silhouette, though not a surprise, left a subtle void in the landscape outside my window, a space that had, for a brief, timeless period, been filled with an inexplicable presence. Yet there was no sadness, no regret, only a profound sense of gratitude for the silent encounter, for the shared moment under the veil of the storm. It was a memory to be cherished, a whisper in the heart that would echo long after the last raindrop had fallen. The night, though now quieter, hummed with a different kind of energy, a gentle resonance of what had just transpired. I closed my eyes again, not to sleep, but to revisit the scene in the theater of my mind. The stranger's quiet stillness, their unwavering presence, the unspoken understanding that had flowed between us, it all replayed with vivid clarity. It was a romance of the soul, a connection that bypassed the need for words, for grand gestures, or anything explicit. It was simply being together in the quiet embrace of the rain. This subtle form of intimacy, born of mutual respect and silent recognition, felt more profound than any spoken declaration. It was a love that dwelled in the spaces between breaths, in the gentle pull of shared silence, in the quiet acknowledgement of another soul's journey, and in that quiet remembrance I felt a deep, unwavering calm settle over me, peace that seeped into every fiber of my being. The world began to stir with the first hesitant whispers of dawn. The sky outside softened from an inky black to a deep indigo, then to a muted gray, hinting at the faint, nascent light that would soon break through the horizon. Birds, roused by the lessening darkness, began their tentative morning songs, their chirps a gentle counterpoint to the lingering quiet. My room, once cloaked in candlelit shadows, began to yield to the subtle infiltration of pre-dawn light, revealing the familiar contours of my sanctuary, yet everything felt imbued with a new softness, a gentle luminescence that wasn't merely the absence of darkness, but the subtle glow of a profound memory. The air held a freshness, a clean, renewed quality after the long night of rain. I breathed it in deeply, letting it fill my lungs with a sense of quiet renewal. I finally moved from the window, stretching slowly, feeling the slight stiffness in my muscles from hours of quiet contemplation. The candle on my table had burned down, its flame a mere flicker now before finally extinguishing itself, leaving behind a wisp of smoke and a faint, sweet scent of melted wax. It was a quiet end to a quiet night, a symbolic close to a chapter that had unfolded in the hushed intimacy of the storm. I knew that the stranger might never return, that this silent encounter might remain a singular, ethereal memory, and that was perfectly all right. Some connections are meant to be fleeting, like the gentle touch of a passing breeze, leaving behind only a whisper of their presence, yet profoundly altering the landscape of the heart. The beauty was in the knowing, in the shared stillness, in the quiet understanding that had blown in the heart of a rainy night. I lay down on my bed, pulling the soft blankets up to my chin. The subtle scent of rain still lingered in the air, a final comforting embrace. My eyelids grew heavy and a sense of profound contentment washed over me. The quiet longing that had propelled my vigil had softened, transformed into a gentle warmth, a deep, abiding peace. The stranger who waited in the rain had not only shared a moment of timeless connection, but had also unknowingly brought a quiet solace to my soul, a deeper understanding of the beauty that lies in unspoken bonds. As the first faint rays of dawn began to paint the sky outside my window, I drifted into a soft, dreamless sleep, carrying with me the sweet echo of the rain and the lingering presence of a beautiful, whispered romance. The world, I knew, was a vast canvas of untold stories, and sometimes the most profound ones were painted in silence, under the gentle, watchful eye of a rainy night. The morning arrived not with a jolt, but with a gentle unfurling, like a delicate bloom opening in the soft first light. I awoke to a room bathed in the muted silver of dawn, kind of light that seemed to filter through the very air, softening every edge and corner. The scent of rain, though no longer falling, still lingered, a fresh, clean aroma that spoke of renewal and quiet beginnings. It was woven into the fabric of the curtains, breathed into the old wood of my desk, and nestled in the cool air that still permeated the space. My sleep had been deep, restorative, yet it felt as though I had merely drifted through a thin veil, never fully disconnecting from the profound stillness of the night. The memory of the stranger by the window, a silent sentinel in the storm, was as vivid as if they were still standing there, just beyond the glass. The encounter had left an indelible mark, a a quiet impression on my soul. It wasn't a dramatic shift, but a subtle recalibration, like a compass needle finding its true north. The longing that had once felt a little wistful, a little undefined, now carried a new resonance, a quiet understanding of its own depth. It was no longer a yearning for something abstract, but for the continuation of that shared, silent moment, a profound appreciation for the unspoken. I felt a gentle expansion in my chest, a feeling of quiet wonder at the serendipity of such an unexpected connection. How often do we encounter souls who resonate with our own, without a single word exchanged, without a single name known? This, I realized, was a rare and precious gift, a whisper of the universe confirming that there are connections beyond the tangible, threads that weave through the unseen fabric of existence. The world outside seemed to hum with this new understanding. As I moved about my room, performing the quiet rituals of morning, every mundane object seemed infused with a subtle luminescence. The worn cover of a book, the smooth surface of a wooden bowl, the faint creak of the floorboards beneath my feet all felt imbued with a deeper significance, as if they too had borne witness to the night's quiet magic. The air, cool and fresh, felt invigorating, cleansing. I opened the window slightly, allowing the pure, post-strain breeze to enter, carrying with it the faint, distant sounds of the city slowly stirring to life, a lone car passing, the distant chime of a church bell, the rustle of leaves in the trees now washed clean. These sounds, once ordinary, now seemed to carry a new, subtle melody, a quiet harmony that blended seamlessly with the echoes of the rain. There was a sense of gentle hope, not a fervent expectation for a grand reunion, but a quiet anticipation of the unexpected beauty that life holds. It was a hope that stemmed from the simple fact that such a profound, unspoken connection was even possible. If one silent night could hold such depth, what other wonders lay hidden in the quiet corners of existence? This thought brought a soft smile to my lips, a genuine lightness to my spirit. The melancholy that had often accompanied my solitude had softened, transformed into a tender quietude, enriched by the knowledge that even in separation, there was a bond, a shared space carved out by the rain. My sanctuary, my room, felt more than just a haven. It felt like a silent witness to a story still unfolding, a gentle promise whispered by the dawn. I spent a moment simply standing, gazing out at the quiet street, no longer looking for a silhouette, but simply absorbing the peaceful tableau. Puddles from the night before still mirrored the sky, now a pale, hopeful blue. Reflecting the nascent light of the rising sun, they were like tiny, ephemeral lakes, holding the last remnants of the storm's embrace, each ripple a tiny, dancing memory. The trees, their leaves glistening with residual moisture, seemed to sigh contentedly in the gentle breeze. It was a scene of perfect tranquility, a world reborn, fresh and clean, and in that moment I felt a deep, abiding sense of peace, a quiet joy that resonated with the still, hopeful heart of the morning. The lingering echo of the rain was not just a sound, but a feeling, a soft presence that had become a part of me, guiding me gently towards the quiet unfolding of a new day. The day unfolded with a peculiar grace, each hour a gentle continuation of the night's quiet symphony. The memory of the stranger by the window, and the rain that had brought us together in that shared stillness became a constant, soft undertone to every activity. It was as if a delicate thread had been woven into the fabric of my waking hours, connecting me to that timeless moment, enriching the mundane with a subtle wonder. Even as I performed the simple tasks of the day, brewing my morning tea, tidying my small space, or reading a well-worn book by the window, an invisible current of thought, a gentle whisper of the night accompanied me. My gaze would often drift to the window, not in search, but in quiet contemplation, as if the glass itself held the lingering impression of that silent encounter. The sounds of the day, usually so distinct and separate, now seemed to merge into a harmonious whole, reminiscent of the rain's rhythmic patter, the rustle of paper, the soft click of a teacup on its saucer, the distant murmur of voices from the street, all carried a faint echo of the ceaseless, comforting rhythm of the storm. It was a testament to how deeply that night had settled within me, how it had recalibrated my senses, allowing me to perceive the world through a softer, more receptive lens. There was a unique poetry in this, a quiet understanding that the most profound experiences often don't demand fanfare or grand pronouncements, but rather bloom in the hidden corners of quiet observation, in the subtle dance of shared, Unspoken moments, my perception had subtly shifted, allowing me to find deeper meanings in the everyday, to appreciate the quiet beauty that often goes unnoticed. An intangible connection lingered, a gentle pull towards the unknown. It wasn't an urgent yearning that gnawed at me, but a soft, persistent curiosity, a delicate curiosity about the stranger's world, their life, their journey. It was a yearning born of empathy and silent understanding, a desire to know more about the soul that had stood so calmly in the rain, mirroring my own quiet vigil. This unspoken thread felt almost like a secret shared, a quiet pact between two souls who had, for a fleeting period, found solace in each other's unseen presence. The thought brought a sense of warmth to my chest, a quiet affirmation that even in the vastness of the world, moments of profound connection could blossom in the most unexpected of circumstances, carried by the very elements themselves. I spent moments throughout the day in quiet contemplation, reflecting on the meaning of such a fleeting yet impactful encounter. Was it a mere coincidence, a trick of the light and a mind prone to reverie? Or was there something deeper, something intrinsically resonant about that shared space in the storm? I leaned towards the latter, believing that some encounters are simply meant to be etched into the fabric of our personal narratives, not by grand events, but by the quiet poetry of presence. It was a reminder that love in its purest, most elemental form doesn't always require definition or ownership. Sometimes it is simply the quiet acknowledgement of a kindred spirit, a tender understanding that flows through the air carried by the very breath of the world. This gentle philosophy, born from the quiet of the night, had subtly begun to reshape my perspective down as the sun began its slow descent, casting long, golden shadows across my room. The whispers of the day seemed to intensify, weaving a tapestry of quiet introspection. The air grew cooler, carrying with it the faint, distant scent of damp earth, a ghost of the night before. I found myself drawn back to the window, not with the intense anticipation of the previous night, but with a gentle, almost meditative inclination. The glass, now clear and dry, seemed to hold the imprint of the rain, a silent witness to the profound encounter. My thoughts, once scattered, now coalesced around the gentle understanding that had taken root within me. This day, woven with the subtle whispers of a rainy night, had been a quiet journey into the heart of unspoken connection, a gentle affirmation of the deep, quiet love that resides in the most unexpected of places, waiting to be found in the softest of moments. The day unfolded with a peculiar grace, each hour a gentle continuation of the night's quiet symphony. The memory of the stranger by the window and the rain that had brought us together in that shared stillness became a constant, soft undertone to every activity. It was as if a delicate thread had been woven into the fabric of my waking hours, connecting me to that timeless moment, enriching the mundane with a subtle wonder. Even as I performed the simple tasks of the day, brewing my morning tea, tidying my small space, or reading a well-worn book by the window, an invisible current of thought, a gentle whisper of the night, accompanied me. My gaze would often drift to the window, not in search, but in quiet contemplation, as if the glass itself held the lingering impression of that silent encounter. The sounds of the day, usually so distinct and separate, now seemed to merge into a harmonious whole, reminiscent of the rain's rhythmic patter, the rustle of paper, the soft click of a teacup on its saucer, the distant murmur of voices from the street, all carried a faint echo of the ceaseless, comforting rhythm of the storm. It was a testament to how deeply that night had settled within me, how it had recalibrated my senses, allowing me to perceive the world through a softer, more receptive lens. There was a unique poetry in this, a quiet understanding that the most profound experiences often don't demand fanfare or grand pronouncements, but rather bloom in the hidden corners of quiet observation, in the subtle dance of shared, unspoken moments. My perception had subtly shifted, allowing me to find deeper meanings in the everyday, to appreciate the quiet beauty that often goes unnoticed. An intangible connection lingered, a gentle pull towards the unknown. It wasn't an urgent yearning that gnawed at me, but a soft, persistent curiosity, a delicate curiosity about the stranger's world, their life, their journey. It was a yearning born of empathy and silent understanding, a desire to know more about the soul that had stood so calmly in the rain, mirroring my own quiet vigil. This unspoken thread felt almost like a secret shared, a quiet pact between two souls who had, for a fleeting period, found solace in each other's unseen presence. The thought brought a sense of warmth to my chest, a quiet affirmation that even in the vastness of the world, moments of profound connection could blossom in the most unexpected of circumstances. Carried by the very elements themselves, I spent moments throughout the day in quiet contemplation, reflecting on the meaning of such a fleeting yet impactful encounter. Was it a mere coincidence, a trick of the light in a mind prone to reverie? Or was there something deeper, something intrinsically resonant about that shared space in the storm? I leaned towards the latter, believing that some encounters are simply meant to be etched into the fabric of our personal narratives, not by grand events, but by the quiet poetry of presence. It was a reminder that love in its purest, most elemental form doesn't always require definition or ownership. Sometimes it is simply the quiet acknowledgement of a kindred spirit, a tender understanding that flows through the air carried by the very breath of the world. This gentle philosophy, born from the quiet of the night, had subtly begun to reshape my perspective down as the sun began its slow descent, casting long, golden shadows across my room. The whispers of the day seemed to intensify, weaving a tapestry of quiet introspection. The air grew cooler, carrying with it the faint, distant scent of damp earth, a ghost of the night before. I found myself drawn back to the window, not with the intense anticipation of the previous night, but with a gentle, almost meditative inclination. The glass, now clear and dry, seemed to hold the imprint of the rain, a silent witness to the profound encounter. My thoughts, once scattered, now coalesced around the gentle understanding that had taken root within me. This day, woven with the subtle whispers of a rainy night, had been a quiet journey into the heart of unspoken connection, the gentle affirmation of the deep, quiet love that resides in the most unexpected of places, waiting to be found in the softest of moments. As evening drew its soft gray cloak over the city, an irresistible pull began to stir within me, gently drawing me back to the window. It wasn't a demanding urge, but a quiet, almost tender invitation, like a familiar melody beckoning me home. The sky outside had begun to darken once more, the vibrant hues of twilight slowly fading into a deep, ethereal indigo. Hinting at the quiet descent of night, there was a subtle shift in the air, a familiar coolness that brushed against my skin, carrying with it a faint, almost imperceptible hint of moisture, a familiar whisper of what might be to come. My heart, which had been beating with a gentle, steady rhythm throughout the day, now picked up a soft, almost imperceptible flutter, not of anxiety, but of a quiet, hopeful anticipation. I settled back into my familiar spot by the window, the old wooden frame feeling like an extension of myself, a trusted companion in this quiet vigil. The street below, though mundane in its everyday appearance, now held a new, deeper significance, infused with the profound memory of the stranger's silent presence. Each lamppost, each shadowed doorway, each distant tree now seemed to carry a faint echo of that momentous night. It was as if the very landscape had absorbed the essence of that unspoken connection, transforming from a simple urban scene into a quiet stage, where a subtle drama of the soul had unfolded. My gaze lingered on the spot where they had stood, a silent space now filled only by the evening air, yet vibrant with the imprint of their stillness. The air grew heavier, pregnant with the unspoken promise of more rain. The scent of petrichor, that earthy, sweet fragrance of rain on dry ground, began to intensify, a prelude to the coming storm. It was a scent that now carried a dual meaning for me, a reminder of solitude, yes, but also of connection, of the beautiful, quiet magic that can only truly blossom in the heart of a storm. My senses were heightened, attuned to every subtle shift in the atmosphere, every gentle murmur of the wind. I could almost feel the sky gathering its breath, preparing for its grand, liquid symphony. The waiting was not a burden, but a gentle surrender, a quiet embrace of the possibilities that the night might hold, a hopeful anticipation of the unseen. And then, softly, almost imperceptibly at first, the first few drops began to fall. Not a deluge, not yet, but a gentle, hesitant patter against the window pane, a delicate beginning. Each drop was like a tiny, luminous pearl, dancing briefly on the glass before merging with its brethren, tracing intricate, shimmering patterns. It was a reunion, a quiet return to the element that had brought us together, a gentle echo of that initial, profound encounter. The sound, so familiar, so comforting, settled around me like a soft, enveloping blanket, washing away the lingering, traces of the day and drawing me back into the timeless embrace of the night. It felt as though the world itself was holding its breath, mirroring my own quiet expectation. My silent plea to the universe died as the rain began to gain a gentle, steady rhythm. My gaze once again drifted to the street below, to the darkened space. Where the stranger had stood, there was no silhouette, no form emerging from the shadows, not yet. But there was hope, a quiet, unwavering hope that fluttered like a gentle flame in my heart. It was a hope not born of desperation, but of a profound belief in the subtle magic of connection, in the unspoken bonds that draw souls together. Perhaps, just perhaps, they too would feel the quiet call of the rain, the gentle pull to return to this shared space, this silent sanctuary under the watchful eye of the storm. And so I waited, bathed in the soft glow of the falling rain, my heart a quiet vessel for a love that remained unspoken yet vibrated with an undeniable, profound presence. The night was young, and the rain, my silent confidant, had just begun to weave its enchanting spell. We remained there, bathed in the soft, diffused glow of the street lights, separated by glass and the falling rain, yet profoundly connected by the shared silence. It was a silence that spoke volumes, a language understood not through words, but through the gentle hum of existence, the rhythmic patter of countless droplets. My eyes, though wide open, felt as if they were seeing beyond the physical, perceiving the subtle nuances of emotion that rippled between us. There was an exquisite tension in this stillness, not of discomfort, but of profound anticipation. Like the hush before a beautiful melody, the air felt charged with a delicate energy, a subtle vibration that emanated from the quiet communion of two souls, finding solace in an unexpected shared moment. It was a sacred space, carved out by the storm, where the ordinary boundaries of time and connection seemed to dissolve. I wondered about their thoughts, their dreams, the quiet stories held within their heart as they stood so steadfastly in the rain. Did they, too, feel this inexplicable pull, this sense of recognition that transcended the unknown? My own mind drifted, painting countless narratives, each one a testament to the quiet wonder of their presence. Perhaps they were an artist finding inspiration in the liquid tapestry of the night, or a dreamer lost in the depths of their own inner world, or simply another soul like me yearning for a connection that didn't demand the weight of words, only the gentle grace of shared presence. The possibilities were endless, each one adding another layer of quiet beauty to the mystery that enveloped them. This gentle speculation was a form of intimacy in itself, a way to reach out without physical touch, to connect without explicit interaction. The rhythmic cascade of rain against the window became the sole punctuation of the night, a calming mantra that lulled my senses. It was a sound that now carried the warmth of shared experience, a gentle reminder of the presence just beyond the glass. There was no need for conversation, no hurried attempts to break the spell. The beauty of this connection lay precisely in its unspoken nature, its quiet intimacy. It was a testament to the profound understanding that can exist between two beings, simply by sharing a moment, by acknowledging each other's quiet presence in the vastness of the world. My breath remained soft, almost imperceptible, as if I feared disturbing the delicate balance of the moment, disrupting the tender harmony that had settled between us. A sense of profound peace settled over me, deeper and more expansive than anything I had felt before. It was a peace born not of solitude, but of connection, a gentle affirmation that even in the quietest corners of life, profound bonds can form. The subtle longing that had once resided in my heart had transformed into a tranquil contentment, a quiet joy that resonated with the gentle rhythm of the rain. It was a love that didn't demand ownership or definition, but simply was, existing in the shared space between us, carried by the countless droplets, nurtured by the hushed symphony of the storm. This quiet affection, so pure and unburdened, felt like a timeless truth, a whispered secret shared with the universe. As the night progressed, and the rain showed no signs of abating, the world outside became a blurred canvas of light and shadow, and the stranger remained a steadfast presence. I found myself drifting into a state of profound calm, my eyelids growing heavier, yet my consciousness remained tethered to the silhouette. It was a sleep born of contentment, a gentle surrender to the quiet magic of the moment. The rain, with its rhythmic lullaby, became a bridge between my waking state and the soft embrace of slumber, carrying the image of the stranger, their quiet strength, into the depths of my dreams. This shared silence, this profound, unspoken connection, was the most beautiful lullaby I had ever known, a testament to the quiet, enduring power of a love found in the heart of a rainy night. As the gentle rhythm of the rain continued its unwavering dance, a profound serenity enveloped me, pulling me deeper into the tranquil embrace of the night. My eyelids, heavy with the weight of quiet emotion, began to surrender to the sweet call of slumber, yet even as consciousness softened, the image of the stranger, a silent silhouette against the rain-streaked night, remained etched in my mind. Beacon of peace and unspoken connection, they were a part of this moment, a part of this profound quietude, and a part of the gentle journey into the realm of dreams. The world outside, with its constant patter and soft glows, seemed to recede, transforming into a blurred, comforting backdrop for the unfolding of my inner landscape. I drifted, not into an empty void, but into a space rich with the echoes of the night. The rain, now a distant, soothing whisper, continued its soft melody within my subconscious, a gentle current carrying me further adrift. The stranger's presence, though unseen by my waking eyes, became a palpable warmth, a comforting weight. In the soft expanse of my mind, it was a profound intimacy, a connection that transcended the physical, existing purely in the realm of shared spirit and quiet understanding. In this liminal space between wakefulness and sleep, the lines between reality and dream blurred entirely, allowing their image to coalesce, to become more vivid, more real than any waking memory. In my slumber, I found myself walking through a soft, ethereal landscape bathed in a perpetual twilight. The air was cool and clean, carrying the faint, sweet scent of petrichor, as if the rain had just passed, leaving behind its cleansing embrace. And there, standing patiently by a shimmering pool that reflected the muted light of a hidden moon, was the stranger. Their silhouette was clearer now, imbued with a gentle radiance, yet still veiled enough to retain the beautiful mystery that had first drawn me in. There was no need for words, no rush to bridge the distance, only a profound sense of recognition, a quiet joy that swelled in my chest like a soft, blossoming flower dot as I drew closer. A subtle smile played on their lips, a quiet acknowledgement resonated deep within my soul. Their eyes, now visible, held a kindness that I had only imagined, a gentle wisdom that seemed to understand the very depths of my being. They were the eyes of someone who had seen quiet beauty, who understood the profound language of silence, and who recognized the subtle threads of connection that weave through the universe. In that dream space, under the gentle, watchful eye of the rain that always seemed to linger, we simply were two souls finally unburdened by the physical, sharing a moment of pure, unadulterated intimacy, a love born of quiet longing and nurtured by the soft whispers of the storm. As the dream gently deepened, folding itself around me like a soft, familiar blanket, I knew that this connection, this quiet, ethereal romance would remain. It was a timeless bond, etched not only into the fabric of my dreams, but into the very core of my being. The stranger who waited in the rain was no longer a mystery, but a gentle presence, a quiet love that would forever reside in the peaceful corners of my heart, a soothing echo of a night that had begun with quiet anticipation and ended in the profound, dream-filled embrace of true, unspoken connection. And as I drifted into the deepest, most restorative sleep, the last sound I heard was the soft, lingering whisper of the rain, a lullaby of love and peace,